Did you know enslaved people fought back in ways history rarely tells? The 1811 German coast uprising in Louisiana was one of the largest revolts in U.S. history. Hundreds of enslaved men armed with farm tools stormed plantations, setting buildings ablaze. They aimed to seize New Orleans but were met with brutal retaliation. Their heads were displayed on pikes as a warning, yet their defiance sent shockwaves through the South, proving resistance was unstoppable. In 1739, the Stono Rebellion in South Carolina sent fear through the colony. Led by an enslaved man named Jimmy, a group of warriors raided a store, seizing weapons. They marched south, burning plantations and calling others to join. Their numbers grew, but colonial forces ambushed them. Many were killed, others executed. The rebellion led to harsher slave laws, but it also proved that enslaved people would never accept their fate without a fight. The New York slave conspiracy of 1741 remains shrouded in mystery. Fires erupted across the city and authorities blamed enslaved people and poor whites. Mass hysteria followed. Over 100 were arrested, dozens executed. Some confessed under torture, but was it truly a rebellion or a fabricated panic? The fear of an uprising led to brutal crackdowns, proving that even the idea of resistance terrified slaveholders. The truth remains debated, but the fear it sparked was real. Gabriel's rebellion in 1800 was a bold plan to overthrow Virginia's elite. Gabriel, an enslaved blacksmith, organized hundreds to seize Richmond, capture the governor, and demand freedom. A storm delayed their attack, and betrayal led to mass arrests. Gabriel and his followers were executed, but their plan terrified slaveholders. The rebellion's failure led to stricter laws, yet it inspired future uprisings. Gabriel's vision of freedom lived on, proving that the fight for justice never died. The 1815 George Boxley Rebellion was led by a white abolitionist who believed in armed resistance. Boxley planned to arm enslaved people and overthrow Virginia's slave system. His plan was exposed before it began, leading to his arrest. He escaped jail and fled west, but his rebellion left a mark. It showed that even some white Southerners saw slavery as an evil worth fighting against. His failed uprising fueled fears of interracial resistance. Denmark Vesey's planned rebellion in 1822 was one of the most ambitious. A free black man in Charleston, Vesey organized thousands to seize the city, kill slaveholders, and escape to Haiti. Betrayal led to mass arrests before the plan could unfold. Vesey and 35 others were executed, but the fear of his movement led to extreme crackdowns. His vision of liberation lived on, inspiring future generations to resist oppression at any cost. The Amistad Rebellion of 1839 wasn't on land. It happened at sea. Enslaved Africans led by Cinque overpowered their captors on a Spanish ship. They demanded to be taken back to Africa, but were tricked and captured by the U.S. Navy. Their trial became a landmark case, and they won their freedom. The rebellion exposed the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade, proving that even in chains, the will to resist could never be broken. The Creole Mutiny of 1841 was the most successful slave ship rebellion in U.S. history. Enslaved people aboard the Creole overpowered the crew and sailed to the Bahamas, where Britain had abolished slavery. British officials granted them freedom, enraging U.S. slaveholders. This rebellion proved that even at sea, enslaved people found ways to fight back. It also strained U.S.-British relations as Southern politicians demanded the return of their property. But freedom had already been won. The 1831 Nat Turner Rebellion was one of the bloodiest uprisings in U.S. history. Turner, a preacher, believed he was chosen to end slavery. He and his followers moved from plantation to plantation, killing slaveholders and freeing the enslaved. The rebellion lasted 2 days before being crushed. Turner was executed, and the South responded with brutal laws. His revolt terrified slave owners, proving that the enslaved would never stop fighting for their freedom. The 1842 Cherokee Slave Revolt was a rare rebellion among Native American slaveholders. Enslaved black people in Cherokee territory rose up, overpowering their captors and fleeing towards Mexico. They were pursued, but many escaped. This revolt exposed the complex history of slavery among Native American nations. It also showed that no matter where slavery existed, resistance followed. The fight for freedom knew no boundaries, and those who sought it never stopped running towards it.